Hi, I'm Mike Withey. On June 1st, 1981, two political activists and labor leaders, Silme Domingo and Viernes, were murdered in Seattle. 10 years later, their families brought and won a precedent-setting human rights lawsuit holding Ferdinand Marcos personally liable for the murders. Marcos had the men killed because they were effective members of the anti-Marcos opposition in the United States. A federal jury found Marcos and his co-conspirators liable for the murders and awarded the families $15.1 million. We proved that the murders were paid for out of an intelligence slush fund set up by the Marcos regime as the part of his effort to reach into the United States and suppress the anti-Marcos opposition here. We proved that the murder weapon, a .45 caliber MAC-10 execution piece, belonged to a Marcos ally, Tony Barruso, who was later convicted of the murders. This was the first and only time any foreign head of state has ever been held liable for the murders of U.S. citizens on U.S. soil. Even more surprising was the fact that the families uncovered the role of an FBI informant who not only was at the scene of the murders when they came down, but later testified for the hitmen against the prosecution. We also have evidence that U.S. naval intelligence sent a report to Marcos intelligence that one of the men, Viernes, who traveled to the Philippines shortly before the murders, had carried a large sum of money to provide to the anti-Marcos opposition. This victory was led by two very courageous women, Silme Domingo's widow, Terry Mast, and his sister, Cindy Domingo, and myself as the lawyer for the estates. We created the Committee for Justice for Domingo and Viernes and launched a strong and determined quest to get to the bottom of the murders and to bring about justice for the slain men. The committee launched a long-term and very strong effort, a quest for justice, which resulted in the victory in court. But at every turn, we were met by a cover-up engineered by the FBI and the Marcos regime that tried to stop us in their tracks. This included the fact that the key Marcos ally who supplied the murder weapon was not charged by the US government. It included the fact that a key witness to the murder, one of the hitmen, was murdered in Seattle in order to shut him up. Despite this important legal victory against Marcos, our justice efforts are far from over. 4 men were sent to jail, and the jury verdict stands, but the US government has gotten off the hook. This website was launched in order to educate people about our government's role in the murders and the cover-up. It contains a full description of the case, as well as our present legal efforts to get the US government to turn over important documents about the FBI informant and US naval intelligence. We would love your support. We'll be happy to update you on the developments in the case and in the publication of the book if you would just put your email address in. If you do so, we'll send you the first chapter, which describes how the murders occurred, how the hitman got into the Union Hall, and Silme Domingo's valiant efforts with 4 .45 caliber bullet holes in him to chase the hitman out of the office, hail down a fireman, and give them the names of the hitmen. Had he not done so, this would be an unsolved murder. We also describe in this chapter the shadowy man that stood aside across the street and watch the whole thing come down and send a report to the FBI and then testify for the hitman. How did he get there? Who sent him? These are some of the questions we'll answer in this book. It has been 34 years since these murders happened, but we will not rest until all that were involved in these murders are held accountable. Thanks for listening.